Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am very excited today. I have ZANE Landin here with me, and he is, I mean, the experience is overwhelming that he has in this world. And so I am incredibly excited for him to be here, introduce himself, and we're going to get right into this.
No, thank you so much, Danielle, for having me today. Super excited to share my story, learn about you, and answer whatever I can answer for people. So I'll start off with this, short introduction. I identify as a authentic storyteller, PR Imagineer, really passionate about, DEI. I'm currently doing a graduating internship at General Motors in DEI communications, and so I'm also a recent graduate from Cal Poly Pomona. I got my Bachelor of Science in Public Relations and Communications, communication. And so that is a bit about me. I recently was at the White House, and I'm sure you'll have a question on that, but that was just something I want to throw out there that was something I got to do recently as a mental health advocate. So I'm a mental health advocate. I also do a lot of disability rights advocacy. So I'm really passionate about those areas. And I think people forget that disability encompasses mental health, because you'll see a lot of people who are mental health advocates, disability advocates. I say I'm both because some people treat them differently, but in actuality, disability advocacy includes mental health. So I think that's a bit about me.
Very cool. And we can hop right into that because it's such an incredibly cool forum for the first time ever, that in something that I personally think should have been started a long time ago, with as many mental health issues that our country does have. And like we've identified, we've had them for so many years. But what a fantastic group of the 30 of you that came together. And I'm sure what an experience, but would love to hear, first of all, how you came into this experience, like how you found out about it, and then just what that kind of week looked like for you.
Sure, yeah, let's start way back to probably around November of last year, when I just saw from Active Minds. So Active Minds was one of the nonprofits they were working with. And Active Minds posted on their LinkedIn that applications were going to be open in December for the first ever Mental Health Youth Action Forum, hosted by, or coming from MTV in collaboration with the White House and 14 nonprofits.
Yeah.
So immediately I was very intrigued because I had no idea what that meant. I was like, is this just an event that the White House is doing? Are we actually going to the White House? What does this entail? It was a little vague. And they did say at the White House, but I was still a little skeptical. And then they said, there's a chance it could be virtual. I was like, oh no, please do not let it be virtual. So I waited till December, and then, the application opened. But I did apply, and honestly, the application was super brief. I thought it was going to be very detailed. It was very brief. They probably asked me like a couple of questions, and like each question had a max of like 150 words. So you really had to own your story, and you had to own it in a very concise way, which I think is the way to go, though. So it was interesting, because I'm so used to telling my mental health story in a, very long form. Yeah. And so it was interesting how to talk about my advocacy in such a short, way. And so it was kind of a challenge it was a challenge, and it was a little easy too, but I always felt like, is there more? Is there not enough? So there's a lot of things I was thinking about. I was waiting, I didn't hear anything back. And then this is why I always tell people to check their spam email. I'm sure you get where I'm getting with this. Yes. I was checking, I check it every day. I check my spam email, and I don't think I checked it that for a couple of days though. And then I saw that I got an email like a couple of days ago, like, oh, you're a semifinalist. And I was like, why is this in my spam? Yeah. So it's pretty funny. And so they said I was a semifinalist. And at first I was like, oh no, does that mean there's a finalist stage and then you're chosen? I was like, I can't, no, I don't want to go through another process. But I learned that that was like the final stage. And so no interviews. We just had to submit another form. And I submitted another form. This time it was a teeny bit more detailed, but not really much more. Yeah. It was, again, a couple questions. And this time they really asked you about media and communications, and like why are you passionate about using media for mental health? Right. And so, it was hard to write because, again, you didn't have a lot of opportunity to write as much. And so they asked some other really interesting questions too. Like they had you send in opportunities where you've spoken before. And it was cool that some of them were fun, like a little lighthearted.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I think that we get stuck in like the
Yes.
weeds. We get stuck in the weeds of negativity when it comes to mental health.
Yes.
And I think that's unfortunate because that's not the only side of mental health. Like
Yes.
literally, people with mental health can be happy. People with mental health conditions can be happy. I mean, it may be more of a challenge for them than other people, but I hate seeing that they're not seen that way because like there's really millions of people with mental health conditions. Do you think they're all the time always sad? And
Absolutely.
there's some that are, you know, but sometimes they aren't. And I think we should show the spirited side of mental health that it's not always doom and gloom.
Yes.
So, especially when it comes to advocacy, you know, if we tell positive stories of mental health, people are more inspired to hear positive stories than negative. So, I was part of an organization that was their mission was when you talk about mental health, you can talk about the challenges, but talk about how you're doing now, talk about what you did, so you can
Yeah.
inspire people in the audience, and that's more effective than not really giving anything to the audience to have hope on. Like a month later, or was it a couple weeks later, I got just straight up one random day, like a Wednesday, I think, just got an email saying I was selected. And then I had to read it over like 30 times. So I was like, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Like, is this real? Then I like told my family and they're like, really, I don't think they like understood it first. They're like, what do you mean the White House? What are you talking about? And I was like, the White House, like, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And so they were super excited and I was super excited. And again, I still was a little bit in disbelief. And,
Yeah.
I just never thought I could do anything like that so young because like I always imagined I could do something like this, but I always thought it would be later
Yeah.
as I become more mature in my
Yeah.
career, as I figure things out. Maybe I've written a book. That's the stuff I thought of. I never thought I could do it so young, and so I'm happy. And I think that was the case for a long time. I think a long time young people weren't
Yeah.
given some of these opportunities because they weren't taking it seriously, but now we're seeing young people can really drive forces and they
Yeah.
can really shake things up. And I think that they're being taken more seriously as
Yes.
change agents or advocates, and they're proven to do the work and to do it with, a fiery passion. So
Yeah.
I'm happy that, there are more opportunities for young people to get involved, especially since mental health affects so many young people on a
Yes.
very alarming scale. It makes sense that we actually engage an audience that's actually impacted by it, that can
Yeah.
understand what that audience, goes through and experiences.
Yeah.
So then what happened was, super excited. Then, we did like Zoom sessions to prepare for it because part of
Yeah.
the forum, there's like two parts. There was like the actual event of the White House, which was like to inform, to tell the stories on like
Yeah.
a broad scale. And then the second part was we were split off into groups and we presented our ideas on media solutions for mental health to industry partners like YouTube, Pinterest,
Very cool.
Snapchat, like the big media partners. So yeah, those were the two things. So we were really preparing to learn about mental health. I mean, we did a lot of sessions like where we mingled with people, where we identified what we were passionate about. So
Yeah.
we talked about things like intergenerational trauma. We talked about just the lack of diversity in mental health practitioners.
Yeah.
You want to see yourself in everything. You want to see yourself in all representation, which I agree with. But I
Yeah.
think mental health really needs the care for that and the representation because you're talking about deep trauma, you're talking about emotional stuff
Yeah.
and stuff you might not mention to your regular medical doctor. And
Yeah.
so you want someone that can really understand where you're coming from. And so there's so many different dynamics there. So, anyways, we really went over stuff like that, just a lot of different things about mental health stuff I really didn't think about as much either. And it was, a great opportunity. And then we split off into groups. My idea was to create mental health TV show, like a documentary series or something. It scaled down a bit,
Yeah.
just because we wanted to figure out what would be doable in the next year, and so
Yeah.
we kind of changed our idea to a podcast series, and it would be about peer-to-peer podcast series, which would be, featuring people, students, young people who have mental health conditions, and they would talk to an expert that's doing the research, and the expert would validate the
Yeah.
person, and so that was kind of like our idea. So I ended up, getting there. I was in Washington D.C. I got to the hotel, it was a nice hotel, and then we started off that Monday with an optional dinner, and I got to connect with everyone and see everyone face to face. It was a really inspiring opportunity just to meet everyone and mingle and to finally meet people that I've seen on the screen for 3 months, basically. Yeah. And to meet people from MTV, all the nonprofits, like the
Yeah.
Jet Foundation, Born This Way Foundation. They were all there. And so the next day on Tuesday was a really like a jam-packed prep session. And
Yeah.
so we went to the venue where we were going to do the presentations, not the White House. So we were like there. This was for the second part of the forum. And so we just kind of practiced. We did like an overview of what was going to happen that day. We practiced our presentations twice. And so there was like several groups. So it did take some time. And then I was lucky that I was honored to be chosen to give an individual pitch, not just a group one. So my individual pitch, I got to talk about positive storytelling, authentic storytelling, and I have a personal magazine called PositiveVibes Magazine,
Yeah.
where we tell the stories about um, mental health advocates, but honestly, everyone. We interview people from a wide spectrum of everything because mental health affects literally everyone. So it
Yes.
makes sense that you're getting all these stories. And then we want to show that also that healing, mental health healing, and just healing in general and wellness looks so different for everyone.
Yeah.
And that could mean people doing tarot. It could mean people talking to a medium. It could mean people doing angel healing. You know, some of the most, I say bizarre, and not in a bad way. I say bizarre is because it's just an oddity. We don't see it. So
Yeah.
I want the magazine to representation for underrepresented. We're very underrepresented. So
Yeah.
we a lot of times we don't hear a lot of these kind of spiritual stories. And we don't hear a lot about people doing this kind of work. And so
Yeah.
it really excites me to be able to share the stories of people who are, and in my opinion, doing beautiful light work, but we just don't see it enough. That was Tuesday, and then Tuesday night we had a Pinterest dinner. And I have a kind of a funny story because I only had one pair of nice clothes. I brought it for Wednesday. I was like, this is the White House part. Like, I don't want to look nice. I'm
Yeah.
not going to wear the clothes twice in a row.
Yeah.
And so I kept the same clothes on, which was like my black shorts. And they gave us a mental health, it's health shirt, a black shirt. So I was like, I'll just keep that on. Well, mostly everyone was like, a lot of people were dressed up. And
Yeah.
I was like, what kind of a party is this? I don't know if I should stay this way. They told me I'd be fine. The staff were like, no, you're fine. You look great. You know, be your authentic self. And I was like, okay. And I got there and I thought this Pinterest dinner was going to be like, we're going to be split up in the groups and we're going to meet with like an executive from Pinterest. No, no, it was like this huge thing at Smithsonian Museum. I knew it was there, but still,
Wow.
Smithsonian Museum. And there was like 300 people there. And I'm talking influencers,
Oh my
people
God.
from all these companies, a lot of people from, Pinterest creators.
Yes.
And it was, oh my gosh, overwhelming would be an understatement.
Yeah.
And they had like literally the best finger foods. That was, that's the one thing I will say. The whole thing was memorable, and
Yeah.
the mental health sessions they did were very memorable.
Yeah.
But the food, I couldn't believe it. Like I could not believe how good it was. But it was great to see, people from, you know, different walks of life who work at
Yes.
Pinterest are talking about mental health in a very open way. Like they had 4 sessions or 4 panels on
Yeah.
stage, and they picked like, was it 2 or 1 person from the forum to
Yeah.
actually speak. So that was really exciting. But
Yeah.
to see what Pinterest is doing, I got to connect with the chief content officer there, which is a really interesting position.
I love Pinterest.
I know I need to be on it more. That was so cool. And then
Huh.
then like we all talked and stuff. It was great. And then Wednesday happens and we go straight to the White House,
Yep.
and I didn't even realize we were like there. So like, because we didn't go from the front. I was like, when are we gonna see the front? We're gonna see the fountain.
Oh.
It's like, no, we went from the side. And so we were walking. I'm like, where are we? Where's the White House? And I saw a little security. I'm like, oh, we're here. We're already here. Like I thought we were gonna go in the front and take pictures. But if you see how long it is, you don't want to go from the front. We were stationed like 3 rooms. The big room, which is where the White House event was going to be. Then we had the blue room, which is where we were waiting the whole time, like the little room, and you could see the front. You could see the White House, like the fountain from there. So
Okay.
you're straight on from the front, basically. You could see the front from
Yeah.
where you were. And then the third room there was like this long dining room, and apparently that's where the president does a lot of his speeches. So we were like stationed in those 3 rooms. So we start off in the dining room, and we would walk to the event. So that's how it was going to go. But we started in the blue room. So we did the whole overview of what the event was going to look like. It was, empty in the big White House, the
Yeah.
big White House room. Then after we just waited in the blue room. So we waited in there probably for an hour. And so we were waiting, and then they were telling us to be quiet because they were finally taking pictures. So that was the thing. We were going to wait in there to take pictures with, Dr. Biden Selena Gomez, and then Dr. Murthy. So they finally opened like the side room. And we walked in and there they were. And I was like, oh my gosh. And they're going really quick. There's like picture after picture. And I'm like, okay, they're going quick. What do I say? And so I shook all their hands and then shaked all their hands. And I just said, pleasure to meet you. There really wasn't anything else I could say in that moment. So it was, Dr. Biden was here. Selena Gomez was here. And then Dr. Murthy was here. So then we walked from the dining room to the main event. And that's like what, like probably like a 15-second walk. It wasn't like super far. Like they're all very close, these rooms. And then they opened the doors and there was like flash bombs everywhere. You know, like people were taking pictures. There was so many cameras. And then what did I say? I said this is probably like the one and only time I will experience paparazzi. And what did I say? I was like, I'm just not enough. People should be trying to strangle for my jacket here. Like, you're talking to one of us advocates. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it was so cool though. Like, and I love that I could see representation there. I saw like several people of color. I think I saw like a couple of blind people there. I saw people from the disability community. I was like, I love the representation. I love that we're getting different parts of different communities to come together for this.
Absolutely.
And so we all sat on the stages. There's like 2 levels. I was at the top. Selena Gomez shared her story a bit. And her mom was there. So I think Selena Gomez was very nervous. I'm not going to say anything that I don't know if she was or not, but, you know, I think she was. You know, her mom was there. And, you know, I think like I'm not like a famous person. I'm not a singer or songwriter, but like, I don't know how many people can still think they're going to go to the White House one day. You know what I mean? Like, and not even perform. Like she didn't perform. She didn't go as a performer. She went as an advocate and to be a vulnerable person because she's done the work and she's had these experiences. So can imagine being very nervous. You know, but good for her. I love that she did it. And I love that she's authentic. And, you know, there's so many campaigns you see with influencers. And sometimes you're like, well, what's the connection? Like this influencer was chosen for this campaign, but I don't get the connection. Like they don't really do the work. But she's so invested in it, and she has her, you know, Rare Beauty, which is her company, and you know, proceeds from the sales go straight to I think it's 1% of sales go straight to mental health nonprofits. And so you know, she's actually doing stuff with her influence and her intellect and her business and stuff. So, you know, I just love that. And so I'm really I really appreciate that they brought someone who was clearly in this space and understands what it's like. So, so then the event ended. We went back to the Blue Room. I don't know. I just had this feelings, and I turned to my right, and Biden was literally right there. Like not like right behind me. No, but he was like a couple feet away, and I was like, that guy looks familiar. And I was like,
United States.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's Biden. And I don't know, like I talked to a lot of people there and they were like, oh, I didn't think Biden was going to show up. And I was like, I thought he was going to show up. I was like, how could he not show up? This is supposed to be the first youth mental health action forum. How could he not show up? I don't think he was supposed to be there. not in a bad way, but I meant like, I don't think he had the time because he really was only with us for like 10 minutes.
Okay.
It was adorable because, you know, he was telling his stories and we were like huddled around him, like straight up. We were like in like a tight circle. And then, you know, we just did our presentations like we did. I did my individual presentation. It was super exciting. Then at the end, the Zoom impact chair, Zoom social impact officer showed up with a surprise and
very cool.
And they donated $5,500 to all of us advocates, which was super exciting. And they're trying to continually engage us with ideas with different companies. And, you know, I talked to people at MTV and I encourage them to please do it again. I think this is a great opportunity for students. And if you can create an ongoing thing or a yearly thing, I think that, you know, you can really set precedents and make an impact here.
Absolutely.
But I understand if you need to scale it down because my goodness, I cannot imagine how expensive the whole trip was.
I loved hearing it from start to finish, but it's so crazy to hear you say you didn't feel like you matched up to other people's experiences because you've interned, like you're interning at General Motors, you've interned at NASA and all these other incredible places. But that leads me to the question of you've done all these internships at like, what is it that you love so much about getting all of these different experiences and all these different companies?
So, I was actually featured in Forbes,
Yeah,
and the author called me a serial intern.
I saw
I
that.
thought that was so funny and really creative, honestly. He's a
Yeah,
great guy. And, I pitched myself for that because, I was like, I've done a lot of internships. I would love to provide an insight to students
yeah,
on finding internships, on getting
yeah.
internships. And so I don't know what it was and why I loved interning so much. I think because through an internship, I was allowed to be creative, depending on the company, but I was allowed to just kind of get a glimpse of what I was looking at. And so, I've done an internship with an entertainment boutique firm for PR, and I learned it was very intense. And
Yeah,
I learned that it wasn't for me. And that's something I did appreciate with these internships was I really got to learn and be in different industries. So NASA, I learned NASA is very exciting and something I would love to consider. And the thing with General Motors is I absolutely love the internship because I interned there last summer on
okay.
on a GM brand team. I loved it so much that I asked them if I could come back, if I could apply for their graduating internship.
Yeah,
And so I did. And luckily enough, they decided to bring me back, and now I'm doing a whole new function in DEI communications, and I feel like it's a lot more aligned with my element because I can do advocacy for mental health, LGBTQ,
absolutely.
disability there through the actual work from my role. And I think that luckily I did these internships because I learned what it is that I really want and what I don't want. But I've been able to find my place. And I was incredibly surprised when I came into General Motors. Definitely don't judge a book by its cover
Yes.
because a lot of people can look at General Motors from the outside and say, well, General Motors is a company that's existed for a long time. It's automotive, it's
Yeah.
tech, it's going to be exclusive, it's going to be inaccessible. Don't judge until you get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like once I got there, immediately they were interested in disability. They were interested in a lot of stuff that I wanted to do, and they empowered me as an intern. So it was the best internship experience I've ever had at any company, and I've done quite a lot. And but there are many companies out there that really give interns a good experience, and so that's probably the reason why I loved it because I could kind of
Cool.
like it's like a different piece of every puzzle. There's one
Yeah.
puzzle, and it's like I'm finding pieces that don't fit, and then
Yes.
finally I can finish the piece where I know where I'll belong and I'll
Yes.
be satisfied and I can actually contribute to a greater good. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, no, that makes complete sense. And I think that that truly is so cool to think about. Like, you just went and found exactly the place where you wanted to be. And you
Yeah.
found the places where you could say, absolutely not, that's not the place, that's not the environment I want to be in. So,
Mm-hmm.
totally, absolutely, it makes sense. But I love the serial intern title he gave you at Forbes. I think it's so creative to your point as well. Because we hear serial like shoppers or things like that, but we never hear of that attached to an internship or anything.
That's funny, serial shoppers. The only thing I was thinking of was serial killer.
I
That's the only thing I was
I
thinking
didn't
of.
want
I
to
was
go there.
I know that's the only thing that's the only time I really hear the name like cereal, associated with that. But yeah, that's right, serial shoppers.
Yeah,
But never serial intern. But it's in my LinkedIn headline now, so it's
I
like
love it.
it's in there. It's like I'm a serial intern, even if
There you
30
go.
years later, that's who I've always been.
There you go. You have the Positive Vibes magazine and all the incredible work you're doing with this. You've had all of these internships. You've been in Forbes. You went to this forum. What's the dream? What is it ultimately you want to be doing? Oh, the eyes just lit up when I said that, when I asked that question.
Yeah, definitely probably out of fear because I don't even know. No, I'm just kidding. I think I have a good idea. I'll be honest, I don't know. I think that I have like uncertainty when it comes to it, but I just know I want to be an advocate.
Good.
Always being an advocate and
Yeah.
always being a storyteller and finding a way to bridge those two because until we can start telling the authentic stories about mental health, I don't see much changing. That's my opinion.
Yep.
I know a lot of people have other opinions. Some people think that we need to get mental health care at the forefront. I do think that. I do. But like, how do we actually tell the story and convince people this is an issue until we start seeing it every day and seeing
Yeah.
it on media. And I think that the media we consume is so powerful because we can feel nostalgic from a TV show we watched as a kid. And so if we were able to see mental health depicted in a healthy way and
Yes.
a natural way, maybe we'd be able to be nostalgic towards that. And it's like, look at this is we can see the experience of mental health in a good way. We can like reminiscent about it. And so
Yeah.
that's my opinion. And I think like, what would be great though, this would be something I would love to see, is if the mainstream media had their own mental health segment. And
Yeah.
so if you had like big things, like the big ABC News, the big Fox News,
Yeah.
the MSNBC, if they just had a separate segment, 1 hour a day
Yeah.
on mental health, and I could be the producer, that would be something I would love to do. Or even, an anchor. That would be really exciting. And they can bring on guests. And in my opinion, it should and will be
Yes.
apolitical. It's like talking about mental health and just talking about different experiences, and in a way where it brings people together and not further divides them, because
Yeah.
the media has a tendency to do that nowadays, and I think that we need to move away from that.
Absolutely.
Especially mental health. Please do not politically divide people when it
Yeah.
comes to mental health. And I know that there are many people that don't believe in it, and but the idea is to not divide. It's how do we tell people that this
Absolutely.
is really real, and
Yeah.
there's miles of research. It's all about telling the story and and informing people and convincing them that this is an issue. Because I want as many people to be on board with it as possible.
Yes. Okay. Well, I will help pitch you around because
Oh
I
gosh.
think
Okay.
it needs to happen.
Oh wow, that would be great.
No, because I think that's perfect, and I think that aligns perfectly with you. And I think, to your point, like there just does no more division. There needs to be more of us being together and combating all of these different things. And I think there's power when we come together. Um, as we're seeing right now with so many issues in the world, like we are powerful when we are together. So I think it truly says a ton about us as people.
I agree.
My last question for you, really quickly, is just what inspires you?
My mom. I'll say my mom inspires me, and um, she did pass away last year in January of 2021, and so that inspiration has definitely. Uh, some people think that the inspiration is dim. I think
Yeah.
that some people will think, you know, how can your mom keep on inspiring you when
Yeah.
she's passed away? Like the stuff that you've enjoyed, the stuff that made her proud, doesn't that make you sad? And I go, oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But I think that I'm even more fueled with more inspiration because it's not about me anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like well, you know what? That's a little weird. But what I mean is like, there was a time where I was doing stuff for myself in my life. And I want to make my mom proud though, right? But
Yes.
now it's like, I want to do things for myself, but I want to do things that will drive her legacy so people can vicariously live,
Yeah.
experience her through me. That's my thing. And I try to always keep my mom's energy as much as I can. She always taught me everything. And then I know, the moment I got that NASA internship, she
Yeah.
would have been hysterical in a good way.
Love that. I love that.
Hysterical. And you have no idea. The White House,
Yeah.
like, I probably the moment I told my mom, she's like, oh, I'm calling planes right now. Let's book a flight. Because
Yeah.
I knew she would 100% be there. And I
Yes.
don't know if, I think I saw a couple parents at the forum, but I didn't see many. But I was like, I know my mom would have 100% been there.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So that's what inspires me every day. And, my family and my partner is always there for me with everything. And so, yeah, I do have a lot of, not a lot of inspiration, but it's strong enough where it feels like it's so much.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. And that is so beautiful. Zane, I appreciate you being here and for completely taking us into the world of mental health. And if you do not follow Zane or any of the incredible work he is doing, shame on all of you because you should be. And I will have it all linked down below. But Zane, I appreciate you being here with us and just taking us into your world and fully diving in.
I appreciate you too. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. And as always, I will see you guys back here next time. Bye, y'all.